week 4 of the New You Challenge. So we're just going to go straight into it with the questions that we got from last week from the reflection forms. We didn't actually get any proper questions, to be fair, so everyone's all good, all happy, which is good to know. We're picking up from the goals that you set that you want to work into this week. There was a lot of people saying that they want to improve their step count and their protein intake, so we thought we'd just have a little quick chat about those as well. So with step count, you can obviously go out for a walk and get your steps in. That's the best way of getting steps in. But we just wanted to highlight the other ways that you can get steps in as well. So, should I just carry on?
Yeah, go for it.
If you are wearing a watch or if you're wearing your phone, then it's a good way of tracking how you can get these little bits in between as well. So things like just standing up, actually it works. So if we were stood up now rather than sitting, that's better for us. It wouldn't necessarily improve our step count, but it's better than sitting down as well. Then if you can get up every half hour, 2 hours or something around the office, just walking around the office, go fill up a water bottle, go to the toilet, or if you're in the house as well, use a toilet that's like upstairs or downstairs or furthest away to try and make like life harder but better, because you're making it harder because you're getting your steps in, but easy because you don't have to go out for a literal walk. You're kind of doing it throughout your day. Other ways, parking further away, so you got further to walk, and escalators. I don't think we actually have many escalators around here, to be fair.
No.
But if you're ever on escalators, walk up them, don't just stand and let the carpet take you up. Walk. So there's some other little ways of getting things in. Do you have any more to top up with?
Not necessarily them sort of things of how to get more in, but probably 2 pointers that I will mention is the magic number 10,000. Like, if you're nowhere near that, don't worry about the 10,000. Like, that is just a figure that I don't really know where it's come from. I think it's come from Fitbit or someone, but I would say look at what you tracked the week before, as in a full week, and then just try to increase that if that's going to be your goal. So rather than just aiming for 10,000, hitting 2,000, and thinking, fuck me, I'm never going to get there, just look at your average from the week before, then try to increase it by 1,000 a day or whatever it is. And then on that as well, there are going to be days that you're going to do more, and there's going to be days that you do less. That's just how it is. Like, we can do everything we can to try and get as many steps in as possible, but some days you're just not going to get them in, whereas some days you might have a bit of extra time where you can use that time to get your steps up. So as with calories, look at it as a weekly average rather than just a daily target, and then you'll, like I say, you'll have good days and bad days on it. So yeah,
A little average
yeah,
out.
that's one.
And another goal that people had set as well was about the protein, trying to up the protein as well. So just revisiting those goals, remembering that we still want to stick to 30 to 40 grams or more if you can, get more, doesn't matter too much, but grams of protein each meal. The majority of it will come from like a hand-sized portion of either chicken, fish, meat, eggs. I always end up running out of what I actually say with those.
Protein powders.
Yeah, protein powders, like handful portion of that, and then anything you're serving that food with will help bump it up as well. So like a chicken breast might be has 23 grams in. So if you serve it with pasta, rice, again I run out of things, bread, that will have 5-6 grams or something in it as well. So that all pieced together, your meal as a whole will be 30 to 40 grams. Don't know whether we mentioned this as well, but with protein, if you've got a 120 gram portion of protein, chicken, it's not 120 grams of protein.
Yeah.
The 120 gram chicken fillet has 23 grams of protein in it. Just to confuse things, because obviously it's got water and fibres and other things in it as well. Yeah. So when you are looking at it, look at the nutrition labels, don't look at the protein source and how heavy that is. Like, yeah, I hope I've not just confused that. We'll have loads of questions about that next week now.
We've got a guide on that somewhere, I'm sure we have.
Yeah, it's all in the nutrition blueprint as well. Cheat sheet. Both of them. So if you go onto the documents, the files on True Coach, it'll be in there as well. All the protein ideas and stuff. Cool. Then some nutrition pointers that we'll move on to as well. Just going to fire different little ideas that people often come to us and ask, like, how do you get around this barrier? How do you work around that? To work into a fitter lifestyle without these crazy thoughts in my head. So, Luke, do carbs make you fat?
No, not necessarily.
How can I stop them making me fat?
Yeah, so this is one of them, is a bit of a myth, that carbs do make you fat. So no individual food, anything like that, is going to make you gain weight unless you are going over your daily calories that you should all know now from last week. So your TDEE, as long as you're not going over that, you're not going to be putting any weight on. Whether that comes from carbs, fats, proteins, you could eat 2,000 calories of Macca's. If you're not going over your calories, you're not going to put weight on. So no, that is a myth that carbs do. I don't really think I'm going to add any more to that because I'll just end up confusing. But have you got any more to add to that?
No.
No.
Actually, I do, because I think it's a really interesting little thing where if you are going to overeat in carbs and protein, because they're less likely to be stored as fat. If you eat fat and you're over consuming in your calories, then your body's going to go, oh yeah, I'm going to store it as fat because it's fat. But actually turning carbs or protein into fat requires energy from the body, and it's not likely to do it. So if you're an active individual, it's not going to be stored as fat, and there's a lot of other processes that go on. So yeah, if you're going to overeat, think carbs and protein and keep your steps up.
Try not to overeat too much.
Yeah.
Next one is fasted cardio. Benefits, are there any?
Yeah, there are actually, to be fair. There are some benefits of doing fasted cardio, but not the benefits that people think. So not the fat loss benefits and the all the crazy stuff that's out there about like, oh wow, it makes you this whole complete superhero. So if you, obviously we have the 6am clubs, if you're coming into those and you're struggling to eat before it, that's completely fine. You are technically doing fasted exercise, but it's not that big of a deal. It's just, there are some benefits you gain, but if you're not doing that, that's completely fine. I can't train without eating in the morning, like without eating before it, because I just feel rubbish. So yeah, don't worry too much about whether you should or shouldn't be doing that. If you want to eat something before training, something light like a banana or something, if you don't, that's fine, go without. Yeah, nothing more to say about that, just don't worry about it.
Yeah.
The other one, eating after 7pm, will it make me fat?
No.
Just
Finish it there. No, not at all. So again, one of them myths, very similar to the carbs. If you're within your calorie requirements, it doesn't matter what time of day that you eat it. What was I saying there? It doesn't matter what time of the day you eat it. So yeah, again, it comes down to overall calories. There are no what is the opposite word to benefits? There's no problem with eating after 7pm.
Yeah. So it's like if you see it as some money that you spend as well. If you've got £2,000 to spend in a day, whether you spend it,
Bit good day, wasn't it?
whether you spend it in the morning, lunchtime or evening, you're still going to spend it. The only reason that the myth and the idea that eating past 7pm makes you fat is because usually by 7pm you've already spent it, or used your calories. So after 7pm, that's when it's like you're on to 2,300, 500, 3,000 calories in total. So that's where you're then overeating and gaining fat. So most people, if they say, right, after 7pm, I'm not eating anymore, then they're less likely to overeat as a whole. So then they're less likely to get fat. So that's kind of where that came into it. But just because you're eating past 7pm doesn't mean that, oh, you're not using energy and it's just going to be stored as fat because you're sleeping. Because you actually use fat when you're asleep anyway. So, yeah.
Very true. Last one.
Are you actually excited? Like I've been talking a lot. Good and bad foods.
I'm not prepared for this one. Good and bad foods. There's no such thing really. So I don't really know where it's come from, but so when we look at like sort of like the what some people would view as bad foods, as in pizzas, cakes, and all the good stuff. They get sort of labelled as bad foods. Good foods are like your...
Carry on.
Good foods sort of like what people are viewing as healthy foods, as in chicken, veg, and all that. realistic.
Just got the carry on.
Realistically, there's no good and bad foods. There is only good and bad diets, if you like, overall. So you can have a very well balanced diet, eating within your calories. I'm just going to keep going for this. We'll keep it rolling. Eating within your calories with a mix of very nutritious foods, less nutritious foods that are good. Good, as in that we like. Fucking hell, you should have gone with this one. So the aim is to get a balance of highly nutritious foods and the foods that we actually enjoy that get labelled as bad, so pizzas, things like that. The key is to get in the balance between the two. What we sometimes try to aim for is 80-20, so 80% of the nutritious foods, things like your fruit and your veg and your lean proteins, fish and all that stuff, 80% there, and then 20% of what is labelled as bad, which the only reason it's labelled as bad is because it tends to be a lot higher in calories, tends to be a lot higher in fat, which obviously is where the calories come from, or obviously the high sugar food, which is most people's favourites. So it's very easy to overeat calories in these foods in comparison to overeating in things like your chicken and your veg and all that. So that's where the good and bad comes from. They are a lot higher in calories, so we need to try and limit them to 20% of the diet if we can. And again, looking at over the week, if you take your daily calories, times it by 7, times that by 0.2, that's how many calories you've got to enjoy of whatever you want, is what I would aim for. I think I did that. I think I got through it. Just
It's just the beginning bit. Just made me laugh, I don't know why. Yeah, no, it was good.
Anything to add on that one?
No.
Yeah, so we'll wrap it up there then. So that is
Week 4?
Yeah, week 4. There will be some more coaching points in there. These videos, obviously, these are where we're going to get a lot of the coaching across, so I will share again in WhatsApp, but just making sure you are watching them, take as much as you want from them, and then obviously use the check-in form at the end of the week to get them questions in.